My name's Clena. I'm in full-time education. I'm studying double health and social and drama, training to be a youth worker. Well, a couple of years ago I was bullied, and this made me feel really alone, and it made me feel ashamed because I felt so weak and I felt as if I couldn't stick up for myself. I didn't want to go out with my friends, and the fear of even going to the bus stop for school or coming to the youth club for dancing was unbearable, and I just wanted to stay where I felt safe, which was in my room. I just felt really, really bad about myself, and had low self-esteem and confidence and stuff, and all these feelings, like, they were leading to like depression and stuff. It was verbal, like bullying as well. It wasn't just physical, like it was text messages and comments on Facebook, and even we put downs in school that was making me feel really bad. And I just wanted to say that, like, if you're being bullied, that you're not alone and you need to speak to somebody, even anybody that will listen, friends, teachers, just what will make you feel better to get it off your chest. So the message is, let's all get together and mind your mate. And that's it.
I went to all boys school, and to say I was bullied wouldn't do it justice. I was tortured. Literally from the day an hour started until the day an hour left. I had went through school thinking that I was worthless because I had been made to feel worthless. About 5 years after leaving school, I had been living on my own. And just with everything that had happened and it all being there, and nothing had ever been done about it, it actually led to taking an overdose. I tried phoning one of my friends to have a conversation, but didn't know that she had gone through some stuff that day as well. Just really needed somebody to talk to, and it just snapped in my head. You really don't need to be here. And that was it, just whatever tablets I had, and necked them. I was fortunate in that sort of half an hour afterwards, I phoned my parents, and they were just round the corner. So they had come around and took me to the hospital, and I think that sort of snapped me out of it a bit. About a year before I took the overdose, I was diagnosed with depression, and had been put on the different medications to try and see if it would do anything for me. It was one extreme or the other. I was either out 3 or 4 nights a week drinking to forget about everything, or I was doing nothing at all. Not everyone that's depressed is going to show it and going to sit and do nothing. You will get people that you think they're the life and soul of the party, and they're well up for being out, but it can be there underlying, they're just good at covering it up. My advice would be to find somebody to talk to about it, anyone at all. One of the, I think now, the way I would look at myself, and it's only recently, even now, that I've started to do it, I started to look at myself that I am worth something, and I think everybody's worth something. I really do think it's a case, if you can't find, or you go to someone that isn't going to help you, go to the next person. You should always find somebody that will help you.
I live in the New Lodge area. I'm in Coleraine during the week studying events management, and I have 2 part-time jobs. So I'm here to talk about sexuality, and sexuality is a part of a person's everyday life everywhere you go. Most people do not think of it as being an issue, but especially young people can find it hard and confusing when it comes to finding out your sexuality and who you are, and then expressing it. That fear of telling your family and friends can be more overwhelming than their own initial reaction. But this doubt can lead to self-harm, self-doubt, isolation, abuse of substances, and sometimes it can lead to suicide. But finding that strength and courage can be really hard. Like myself, I found it really hard. I had no strength or any courage. I came out when I was 16, when I was in North 6 studying for my exams in an all-girls school. Found it really, really hard. Thought no one would understand me. Had thoughts of doubt. Will they still like me? Will they still want me as a friend? Will they still love me? Will they still treat me the same person as I was the day before I've told them? But when I did come out, I did myself have that support. They supported me and they still love me the same way. So when I knew I had friends there to support me, it was easier for me to try and come out and tell my family and friends. And I felt sick to my stomach with the worry about telling my family. But while not everyone is supportive out there isn't people that you're gonna create prejudice. They're not going to understand. But you will find someone out there who won't judge you and will support you. But you're not alone either. There's tons of people in the world that are going through the exact same thing you have. Sharing it with other people can help you cope. You can gain confidence. You cannot be ashamed anymore. You can be happy. Never deny who you are as a person, but the real you will always shine through when you're happy. So come on, let's get together and mind the mate.
I'm 23. I live live down Sailortown, but originally from a new lodge. I work full time as a learning support assistant, full time mummy, and I'm doing my masters part time up at Queen's in special education and inclusion. As a sufferer of depression, I often felt lonely. I felt really isolated. I felt there was nowhere to turn. I felt I had no self-worth, nothing, and it was really easy to slap on a smile and pretend, oh, I'm fine. But I could only do that for so long. And one of the reasons is there was so much stigma surrounding depression. You know, I was afraid to seek professional help in fear that I would be judged. I thought maybe people would think she's not a good mummy, or my employer would think she can't do her job properly. But that only led to the depression to manifest itself and make me feel worse. I felt like I'd let myself down, let my family down. But then you learn that's the nature of the illness. It was also really hard for my family and friends. You know, they felt helpless. They didn't know where to turn. And it was only through talking to them that I seen that there was light at the end of the tunnel. There were so many people willing to help, willing to sit and listen. And that's when I learned there's never an issue that can't be resolved. No matter how big or small you think your problem is, there's always somebody there who's willing to help. And I really think that you just need to talk, and talk face to face. So let's get together and mind our mate.
I'm here to sort of really talk about suicide and the aftermath. My 16-year-old son Jimmy Joe took his own life in December 2009, and it was drug related. I found him on the 18th of December, and he lay in Dundonald Hospital for 5 days. And while he was there, I brought his best friend up to let him see what the drugs had done and the way he was lying. And it was then that his friend Liam had told me then that it was the drugs, and he had been experimenting with them blue bombers. I found him in his bedroom. I had been that Friday sitting in my mummy's playing his PlayStation, and I was going to bingo, and I says to him, "You want to go to bingo with me, son? Jimmy Joe being Jimmy Joe." "Fine, I'm going to bingo with you, but good luck." I come home at 9:45, went into my mummy's, and I says to my other son, "Kevin Barry, where is he?" And he says he's over in the house, and I said, "Our house is in darkness, son." So I went over and rapped the door, couldn't get an answer. Went back to my mummy's and got the key, went over, but I knew when I put the key in that door, the house was in darkness. Switched every light on the walk, got up the stairs, kept calling his name. And I knew when I put the handle on his bedroom door, it was locked, I knew what I was going to find. Booted the door open, and I found him lying. He was hanging from the bunk beds. And I ran onto the lantern again, and then I ran back and I took it off him. And he was still warm, and I was going, "Oh, he's not dead, you know, he's still..." And I run screaming then. Then my other son Kevin and my daughter, they come over and they worked with him till the police got there, and then they started working with him. But they say when he got to Dundonald, I know he lay for 5 days, but he was brain dead. The only thing was he could hear us. And then on the 23rd of December, exactly 3 weeks after his 16th birthday, he died then. The devastation he's left behind. I mean, there's me and there's his daddy, there's his sister and his brother and his 2 wee nephews who look for him every day of the week, and it's just so heartbreaking. It's just, I can't really put it into words, but the devastation and the pain and the hurt that me and the rest of the family's going through. If my Jimmy Joe hadn't been experimenting in them drugs, he'd be here with us today. Because he was just a happy-go-lucky, you know, everybody knew him. From 6 to 60, everybody knew Jimmy Joe. He was just that type of wee lad, you know. I'm pleading to any child out there that's down, feeling depressed, offered drugs, taking drugs, please don't go down that road.
I work part-time in a children's play area and I'm full-time at tech as well, studying play work, and I'm 19. A year ago I lost a cousin. She was 16 through suicide. Her name was Tarianne. I started feeling you know, the blame overwhelming, you know, why didn't she ask me? Why didn't she come to me for help? You know, I started feeling, you know, I didn't really want to go out or didn't want to speak to anybody because if I was her cousin, you know, that's how I felt. How is her mum feeling? How is her dad, her brothers and sisters feeling? So that's why I kept everything inside. I was blank, I think. I was blank, you know. I didn't really have no emotions. I didn't want to believe what my mum was telling me, you know. I was sad, but then again, I couldn't cry because it wouldn't come out, you know, because I think my body was still in shock and I hadn't taken in that she was actually gone. But I need to just not get over it, but just learn to deal with it. And I think this video is very useful for people who are learning to deal with maybe suicide in the family or with their friends, you know. So I think everyone should just come together and mind their mate.
PIPS was established in 2003 after the deaths of a number of young people. Actually 14 young people took their lives in North Belfast, one of them being a young girl, and all under the age of 18 and from both communities. Many people just didn't know what to do. And sadly for me and for my family, one of those young people was my own son, and his name was Philip. Philip was the first of those 14 that died. And so it was one straight after another. And it had a tremendous impact, not just on me and on other volunteers who were working with us at the time, but the entire community. To lose a child, it's just unbearable. The pain is unbearable. But to lose a child through suicide, there are many questions that need to be asked themselves. Why? Why didn't he talk to me? Why couldn't have came to me? Could none of our friends have came to me and said to me? But why did I not notice? Was it something I done wrong? Was it something that I said? And you blame yourself because that's the only person you've got to blame. And so PIPS was in some way trying to help provide some information to families about, you know, it's okay to feel like that. It's natural to have those thoughts and feelings. You're going through a grieving process, and we all have to go through that grieving process. The people just didn't talk about this issue because they felt ashamed or that they were bad parents, because society had linked people who had taken their lives as committing a crime, as being selfish. When we know now that a person is not in the right frame of mind. So, in my circumstances with my own son, and I'm sure for many others, I know my son didn't take his life to hurt me, to hurt his mother, or to hurt his brothers and sisters. I'm proud of my son. I love him. I wish to God he had just came and talked to me. And maybe I would have been able to help him. I wish to God that I have known the skills that I know now, the signs that a person may be at risk, how to help that person, how to support them, how to listen. But we have an opportunity here now today to learn skills so that we can identify someone at risk, so that we can help and support that person, to listen to that person and link them into the proper help and the support that's available. I know that people who suffer from depression can come out the other side. It just takes someone to tell them. One small gesture can save someone's life.